Okay, today we are playing a game on Hollywood. We are playing Zarya the entire way through, and the average SR of this game was 2,250. Probably roughly, that's probably not the exact number. The accompanying comment says, I play Zarya here, but I don't really know where I should be positioned. Also, a lot of my barriers didn't do much, and I got my ult pretty slowly. Well, right off the bat, the third issue kinda ties into the second issue, where if your barriers aren't doing very much, your ult is going to charge slowly as a result. But, just like off the bat, but we'll talk about that more later. Okay, so, let's look at our team. We've got Zarya and Reinhardt as our tanks, then we've got Torbjorn, Pharah, and Hanzo, and then we've got Mercy. So our team is, rather unfortunate, because if they have a Pharah, we're gonna be really, really upset about it, and we're gonna have to rely on, like, Hanzo and Torbjorn to kill the Pharah, which would be very tragic indeed. So, you know, it's not exactly a high DPS comp. And we also hope they don't have a dive comp, because that would also feel really bad. But let's start the game. We'll mute the game. No, we don't need to mute the game, we can just have it on really low. There isn't actually any talking in this game. So, we are in, the Asias somewhere. There are moon runes in the chat. I don't know what variant of the moon runes, but... So, we're standing up here right now, right-clicking into people. You can stand up on the high ground, and sort of helps you right-click into people, but it doesn't really matter overly so for Zarya. So, we see Mercy get hooked right here. We save the Mercy's life. Great, that's how you play Zarya. Didn't need to bubble yourself as well. That was probably just like a knee-jerk reaction, but that's, so we don't, we got 40 charge off of, saving the Mercy, so that's fine. And this is fine, right, what we're doing right now. We're going in a little more aggressively on this Roadhog. Here's the thing with, like, using your bubbles as Zarya, where, generally, you don't want to use your bubbles predictively. It's better to use them reactively. Because if you're predicting that you or somebody else is going to take damage, that means the other person has probably not started firing yet. So if you then come out in front of them with your bubble up, or you bubble somebody else, they're going to be like, oh, wait. Okay, now I'll shoot at them. And it's easier to not shoot, but if you or them have already started taking damage, then it's harder to stop shooting once you've already started, rather than just to stop yourself before you've started, if that makes any sense. So, it's usually better to wait until you or the other person has started taking damage, and then bubble them. You'll at least get, like, more charge off of it, because if they see that you've bubbled them and they haven't started shooting yet, they might just not shoot at you. If they're already shooting, they're at least gonna get a shot or two in, and you're gonna get some charge off of it instead of no charge. General advice for Zarya, try not to use your bubbles predictively, try to use them reactively, because you generally will get more charge out of them that way. And I'm not saying, like, wait for the person to be, like, half dead or something like that, but, like, when you see somebody start taking damage, that's the better time to bubble somebody. Or if you, like, see them get hooked or flashbanged or something like that, then yeah, fair enough, right? Then they are going to get shot, so. Okay, so, now, they're coming in right now. We didn't need to bubble ourselves right there. Why did we bubble ourselves exactly? Did we think we were gonna get pinned? Just sort of, like, knee-jerk by the look of it. So, we haven't got very much charge right now, but Reinhardt almost died all the same. We might have killed him if we right-clicked after him instead of, trying to hit him with the laser, but yeah, whatever. Reinhardt now, very bold maneuver. Also, McCree has gotten behind us right now, which is, unfortunate. You do have to pay attention to the backside, because Zarya is a very aggressive hero. Like, the idea is you want to build up charge and then go around bullying people up in the front line, basically. You know, because when you've got high charge, you are the best DPS in the game, and you're also a tank, so. But, you are also the one in charge of making sure your backline doesn't die, because Zarya is, like, she's a very protective hero. She can bubble the person that's getting bullied in the backline and, like, kill the person that's doing it. So you do have to pay more attention to your backline to make sure that something like that doesn't happen, because it is your responsibility to help somebody in the backline if they're getting fucked. Generally, if you're the off tank, so if you're not Reinhardt, it's your job to look after people in the backline. So you just gotta pay more attention to make sure that, like, that doesn't happen with the McCree, basically. And I know that's gonna be hard, because, like, there was a fight happening up at the front as well. We're getting, like, Roadhog's coming at us right now, but we had a lot of charge, and we just chewed right through him right there. We're backing off a little bit now, because we're afraid that we're going to die, because we were low HP, but we're playing Zarya, so we've got 200 regenerating hit points. And we're gonna come up and around and try to get on the McCree. McCree is already dead by the time we arrive, so we don't even have to worry about it. We've managed to build up Graviton, so that's great. This is, like, kind of when I would expect you to... Again, we're using it, like, predictively here, expecting to get shot, then he just, like, doesn't shoot at us. Granted, with, like, Roadhog, you don't really get the luxury of doing it reactively, unless you see the other unless you see another person get hooked, obviously, but with yourself, you don't really get to do it reactively. Pick up some of this armor. Zarya is, like, one of the best heroes in the game to have armor. Fun fact about armor that most people don't know. Armor reduces the damage you take by 5 points. That's not... Technically, it reduces it by half of the damage, but it caps out at 5. So it reduces damage you take by 5. If you have shields, the armor goes underneath the shield, but the damage reduction applies to your shield as well. So, Zarya, 200 shields, suddenly becomes 200 armor. So that's pretty sick. That's a lot of armor. So if there's a Torbjorn, it's a pretty good time. This is why Torbjorn and Symmetra are also, like, good together, because of the shield generator. Well, it's 150 extra HP, which is great in general, but it's effectively 150 extra armor as well. So, Torbjorn is over here. He's, sleepy right now. We're trying to make sure he gets out, basically. I would have waited to see if the Torbjorn got hooked first, because, basically, if you bubble him and then he doesn't hook, he's just going to wait for your bubble to leave and then hook him, which is exactly what happens. Better to just, like, sit and watch him. If you see him get hooked, then you bubble him, because at least then he'll be awake and he can get back out. Generally, if somebody gets put to sleep, you actually want them to take a little bit of damage so that they wake up, so it's better to wait and see if he gets hooked, basically. So, we have Graviton right now, so that's cool. We have a Hanzo as well, so we do have a good ult combo. General advice, push tab more often so that you can see who has their ultimates, because that's information that impacts how you play. That's just, like, in general, like, knowing who has ultimates is important. So, Nano boosted Reinhardt right now, doing this. He's accidentally been woke up after getting put to sleep. The issue here is that we would like to Graviton during this, but highly likely that our Graviton would get wasted during this, because half of our team was dead, and then the rest of them very swiftly started dying, so chances of getting away with that one at that point, pretty slim. I think it's better to not use your ultimate. We do also have a Pharah, so that's a good combo as well, which we will be seeing not too long from now. I think they're flaming Hanzo. That does sound like something that would happen. I'd believe that. So we have Graviton still. We're waiting for an opportunity to use it. McCree did that. Didn't get him very far. We got a little bit of charge off of it, but not very much. I wouldn't really recommend standing over in this alleyway, because it's pretty easy to get picked off and killed. If your team's standing over here, just come and stand over here with them quicker, because, like, you don't want to be off by yourself as a tank, because, especially, like, tanks are generally immobile. Obviously Winston and D.Va are not immobile, but generally tanks are pretty immobile. So if you get caught out of position by yourself, it's pretty easy for you to die if the enemy team collapses on you, so you don't want to just be off by yourself like that. If you have high charge, you can justify it more, because if somebody tries to kill you, you can probably just kill them, but... So we have Graviton right now, we're looking for an opportunity to use it, and we're just gonna throw it in here in the near future. I would have probably already used it, to be perfectly honest with you, because there was a fair cluster of people right there. But we throw it in because our Pharah is doing this, and we end up not needing to use it, because Pharah actually got work done with just the barrage by itself, but I would have done the exact same thing. It's what you plan to use your ult comboed with anyway, so it's not like you really lose anything, because it's what you expect to do with your two ultimates, so it's not the end of the world. So, now we have to build up charge again. Again, this is, not a great use of our bubble, because there's unlikely we're gonna take damage right there. It is easier to get yourself charged, because if you see, like, a soldier shooting at the Reinhardt shield, you can just bubble yourself and walk into that line of fire. But, again, the person has to sort of already be shooting for you to do that, really. So, we're just sort of standing off with them right now. Our positioning, I think, has been fine, because I know we haven't really talked about it, but it was one of your things. I think your positioning has been fine, basically, this entire time, which is why I haven't really talked about it. I'll just say that, and I don't really think it becomes much of an issue at any point. I'll just say that generally, the idea is you are close to the front line trying to build up charge as quickly as possible. And then when you have charge, you are the best hero in the game, and you can start bullying people around. But generally you want to be very forward. Not like suicidally forward, obviously, but you want to be like up with your Reinhardt trying to like help him and get charge up. Unless you know the enemy team is likely to dive your backline, because you're the one that has to worry about protecting your backline. So if you see the enemy team is something like, Genji, Tracer, Pharah, can do this, Winston, Diva, or Sombra as well, you are the one that has to protect the backline. So then you have to position closer to them so that you can help them if they need the help, basically. But aside from that, you just want to be like up with your Reinhardt. If you don't have a Reinhardt, which hopefully you don't, but if you don't have a Reinhardt, like if you're on King of the Hill or something and you don't have a Reinhardt, basically you stand like a Reinhardt would, but you play closer to cover because you don't have the barrier to stand behind. So you stand similarly to Reinhardt at the front line, because you're the main tank if you don't have a Reinhardt, because Zarya is like the second closest thing we have to a main tank in the game. Debatably Orisa, but I don't really think she's comparable. So if you don't have a Reinhardt, you're the main tank now as Zarya, so you stand similarly to Reinhardt, but you have to stand closer to cover so that you can get out of the way if you need to. And that's what I'll just say basically about positioning as Zarya, because I don't think it's ever really an issue in this game. So I'll just say that. So, now, we're low charge still, so our priority now is building it up. We see Roadhog over here trying to flank people. We don't let him do it. McCree has gotten behind us right now. We could have, I think, known this was happening. Because we don't see him over here. Yeah, and then, like, Torbjorn's turret dies behind him, but we can't see McCree over here. You gotta kinda, like, look around to see to see where people are. Because if somebody goes missing, like, we can intuit that McCree is behind us because we don't see him at the front line, but he has just killed a Torbjorn turret, which is, like, behind us. So you could intuit that he's back there, and then this happens, and he kills Mercy, but she already rezzed, so it's not the end of the world that he killed the Mercy right there. And now we're coming back, we're helping Zarya bully him around. I will say, like, look up at the Pharah right now to see how low she is HP-wise, because if that Pharah is low HP, it's worth bubbling her so that she doesn't die if he shoots her once. I mean, like, that's like using it predictively, and I know I said not to do that, and we see that right there when she came back down, she was, in fact, at like 20 hit points. If the person is fighting somebody, and they are like one hit from death, it's still probably worth bubbling them just to try and make sure they don't die, because McCree would only have to hit her one more time and she would have died. But she ended up not dying anyway, so it doesn't matter. Didn't get punished, don't have to learn. So, again, that's using your bubble predictively right there. I think you expected her to use Barrage, but if that's the case, wait for her to start using Barrage first before you do that. So, we unfortunately haven't gotten a lot of charge off of all of this right now, and basically the reason I see that being is that we're using our bubbles very predictively. We're not using them reactively. I find just saying that to people with Zarya tends to improve their play, because, like, It is usually that Zarya players try to use their bubbles predictively, and they end up not getting very much charge off of it. Because people usually know what they're supposed to do when they have high charge, it's just the getting to high charge people usually have trouble with. So we're running this Anna down right now, who was in a very interesting location, and she didn't get away. Not unexpectedly. right now, Roadhog's over here. We shouldn't go after the Roadhog because we have no charge right now, so there's, like, no way it works, basically. And there's like a lot of stuff happening right now, and we have limited options to stop any one part of it happening. Now we've got an Earth Shattered, Tac Visors happening, lots of scary things happening right now. We're not long for this world. At this point, honestly, you should just die faster, because you are going to die here, and you drag it out for like an extra 5 or so seconds. If you know you're gonna die, or you think you're really likely to die, just die quicker. If you can, throw yourself off an edge so the enemy team doesn't get the ult charge off of killing you. But if you are going to die regardless, just, like, die quicker. Because the idea is the quicker you die, the quicker you can get back to your team who need you to be there. But if you, like, drag your death out for an extra 5 or so seconds, then they might get dove upon in that 5 seconds because they're a man down waiting for you. This is especially important as a tank because your team needs you to be there with them. So, if you know you're gonna die, just, like, die. Don't drag it out. Like, whenever I see a Reinhardt that's got, like, 5 hit points and he's just, like, walking backwards with his shield, like, no, don't kill me. I'm like, just die. Just take it down. Just take your fucking lumps and respawn so that you can be a hero again. Anyway, though, so we're coming back around now. We still don't have much charge, and we haven't built up another Graviton. This is taking us a very long time to build up this Graviton, but we've been at basically 0 charge this entire time, so I'm not surprised we haven't built up another Graviton during this period either, because the building your ult does tie in to how much charge you build up, which ties into everything else we've talked about. And if nothing else is happening, just, like, right-click into the biggest collection of people as much as possible. But if you're not building charge, you're not going to build your ult very quickly. It's just how it is, basically. So, we get put to sleep right here, and we get bumped in a really unfortunate position, and, it feels bad. and, you know, don't get hit by the sleep dart. That's, like, all you can say about that one, really. It happens. Whatever. Don't worry about it. So our whole team have their ultimates except for us, but we're very close to having our ultimate, so it's basically the same as everybody having their ultimate. So we should be able to fend off this push. Now, the fear I would have would be that our entire team uses their ultimates at the same time, and then they come back and kill us because we're down ultimates. But you can't control your team, so if that happens, that happens. Like this dragon right here is a tragic waste and very unfortunate because we don't have our, now we aren't going to be able to combo it with our ultimate. When you are playing Zarya and you have people on your team that you want to combo your ults with, just, like, ping what your ult charge is at regularly, because that will impact how they play as well. Maybe Hanzo wouldn't have used it if we, like, pinged that we were really close to our ultimate. You know, you don't know. Like, you can't control your team, obviously, but, like, if you are playing, like, Zarya or Ana, just, like, ping your ults pretty frequently so that people know, because that impacts how other people will play. So, we shouldn't be coming over here. Like, we're not going to do anything over here. We're probably looking to try and Graviton people. Just stand with your team. Don't bother coming over there. You want to be with your team as much as possible, and you've got to protect your team as well, so, very important. We are standing, like, too far up right now. We want to, like, we should be trying to, like, get over here behind our Reinhardt, basically, rather than, like, we've been standing off to the side over here for a while. It's probably because we're trying to get a Graviton into people, if I had to guess. We should just be standing over here with our team rather than off on the corner by ourselves. Because the fear there is that you're gonna get, picked off because you're slightly further away from your team. So, this is Reinhardt right here, not following proper protocol, has just wasted his Earth Shatter. I would have just, like, dumped my ult in sooner than that. Like, not much sooner. I would have, like, right now. I'd ult right around here, right in front of these people right here. And you're gonna get, like, these two, and you're gonna get Lucio, and there's probably people over here coming up as well. So I would have done it slightly quicker, but we do it, like, a second later. You know, it's the kind of thing that can matter, but it's unlikely to matter, right? So then everybody throws their ult into the pot, and they threw in slightly more ultimates than us, so that means they get to win, and then we get rezzed right after we die, which feels bad, man. You know, happens, we had 2 hit points. Yeah, it should have died on purpose, basically, but, it doesn't matter, whatever, it's not the end of the world. So they threw more ults in, so they got to win, basically. It happens. That's Overwatch, basically. Fortunately, Mercy gets to swing the game, and, I mean, it's not swung around because the fight is still happening, but we didn't lose, so it's great. Attack visor's happening right now. We're trying to get out of the way. We're coming around the backside. We're gonna have to go in and touch it. We don't expect much to come out of touching it, but we've got to go in and touch it. Fortunately, Hanzo's used his ultimate, and it's, like, bought us some time. But right now, we're just, like, scrambling to keep touching the point. Probably fine to bubble the Hanzo there, especially since you're probably going to die in the near future anyway, so... you know, when you're just scrambling to touch the point, there's not much to say about it. Mercy has built up another res unbelievably quickly, and now we get to go for round 2. And they haven't built up enough ultimates to overcome the res a second time, basically. So we get to win now, because Mercy built up her res very quickly. This is why Mercy is a good hero, despite what people might tell you, because Overwatch is very heavily based around ult economy. Because the team that has more ultimates in the team fight is the team that wins the team fight because they had more ultimates. Not always, but generally. A great majority of the times, the team with the more ultimates is the one that wins. But then, Mercy comes in after all of those ultimates have happened, and then she reses the team, and then suddenly the entire ult economy just got fucked, because they now have no ultimates, and you res with ultimates, or at the very least, more HP than the enemy team, because when you res, you're at full HP. And they've just been fighting, so they aren't at full HP. So, despite what people might tell you, Mercy is still a good hero, because in a game that's based around ult economy, the ability to res your teammates after all the ultimates have happened is very strong. It's just dependent on Mercy living, and her team dying in convenient locations. There is always also the possibility also that they don't use all of their ultimates, because when the game first came out, everybody thought Mercy was like the most overpowered hero in the game, because she would res people after all the ultimates. Then after a while, we kind of realized we can just, like, earth shatter them after they get rezzed and kill them again. But then that means somebody has to have not ulted during the team fight. If they've all ulted still, doesn't matter. And that's, you know, in a game that's as fast-paced as Overwatch, people are not always calculating these things out. So, Mercy is still very strong, despite what people tell you, because people try to, like, put out that, like, Mercy is an awful hero. Not really. Like, not really true, no. In general, though, the community has a lot of, hyperbole around these things. Like, I personally think that Torbjorn could be a fine hero, it's just that most people who play Torbjorn do not play Torbjorn very well. They don't play him like he should be. And that leads to Torbjorn not really doing very much. I think Torbjorn has a lot of potential as a hero that is untapped because people are not prepared to try it, basically. This is also true with Sombra and Orisa, where I think these heroes have more potential than we've seen because the community, like, whips itself up into such a further over these things. I think, whatever. People are stupid. That's the moral of that story. So, we're attacking now. We have a Junkrat, so we're very upset about that. Junkrat not very good at attacking, especially on a map where you're going to have to fire up on high ground, probably. Which on Hollywood we do. We have to fire up onto the 2 balconies. Junkrat is terrible at firing up on people on high ground, but it happens. So, we've got some charge built up right now off of that bubble. We come forward, we managed to get 40 charge off of our own bubble, so that's great. That means we're now the best hero in the game. Once you cross, like, 50% charge, you start getting very, very scary. Like, you don't even really need to back out. You could start, like, trying to laser those people right there, because there isn't actually that much threatening to you right here. Because, like, there's a soldier and a diva here. You can just, like, stand sort of in this area and, like, start lasering the soldier. You're at 60% charge now, almost. You'll do a lot of damage to the soldier, or the diva as well. And this is where you start building up more ult charge, because now, there's a diva over here, and a soldier. Like, even if you just go up and start lasering the diva, that's gonna get you a lot of ult charge, because you have high energy right now. When you're high energy, you start asserting yourself on the enemy team, because you've suddenly become one of the best heroes in the game, when you're high energy. High energy Zarya can kill any other hero in the game. Even Reaper, who theoretically counters Zarya, because full energy Zarya is too much power. No one woman should have all this power. So once you get up to like over 50% charge, that's when you can start asserting yourself on them more. Like you could go up to them in that corner and just start like lasering the soldier and the diva. Right now we're at 80% charge. We're the best hero in the game right now, basically. And we're gonna start lasering people, and then we get hooked. Our bubble isn't up, but he gets jostled around by Farah, so we end up getting away with it anyway. Break Diva's mech, great. We use our bubble a little too early there again. Wait till you start taking damage. Slight thing that can matter as well. If you've taken damage and you're under your barrier, because there's a cooldown before your shields start regenerating by themselves. If your bubble takes damage, but you're missing shields, that doesn't reset the timer, so you can start regenerating your shields underneath your bubble. So you generally want to have taken some damage before you bubble yourself, because then the regeneration timer is protected by your barrier, basically. Very small thing that can sometimes matter. So, and just, reactive, not predictive. So all this is happening right now. All that just happened right there. We are playing a little cautiously right there. Once we see Roadhog's hook is on cooldown, we could start being more aggressive, because like that's the thing to be afraid of. Once we see that happen, like we could just come around the corner and start lasering them a bit more aggressively, especially since our own barrier is up. But a lot of our team are dead right now, so we decide we're just going to back out. That's also fine. We're right-clicking in there a bunch, and you can see now we've built up a lot of charge very quickly because we have been high energy. If you can build up charge, you're going to build your ultimate quicker. Graviton is the slowest charging ultimate in the game, so this happens, but if you can get high energy consistently, you will build your ult very quickly. And if you can do that, then first off, you'll kill a lot more people if you're high energy, and that matters. But if you can get, like, more Gravitons than the other Zarya, then you will win the game. We've all been in the games where we've been like, fuck, she has Graviton again already? Like, that's what you want to be, and that's just basically all about building up charge as quickly as possible. I mean, like, shield charge, not ult charge. Obviously ult charge, but, like, shield charge. Basically, when you're low energy, your priority is, how do I get my energy back? Cause you're nowhere near as scary when you're low energy. We've got some energy built up right now, and I think we get some off the Reinhardt right here. Yeah, Reinhardt just gave us a big, nice, a small loan of 40% charge, so that's great. We've almost got our Graviton built up right now. We're working on it. We decide we're going to go in more aggressively right there. I respect the attempt, basically, but we've gone a little bit too far, where we've cut across the entire area, and now we're on the wrong side of the enemy team. Because now they're between us and our team. We cut, like, too far. You don't want to, like, put the enemy team between you and your team, so we go too far over in that direction right there. And then we go in more aggressively still, and we just get killed. I thought I had myself shield. We shouldn't cut, like, the entire length of the street like that, basically. And we don't get res. I don't know why Mercy didn't res. I assume she had a reason, but I don't know what it was. Overwatch is like, it's hard, to have a mini-map so that we could see what our team was doing, basically. At the very least, like spectators should have, like, a mini-map. Like, it's really hard to watch, like, pro matches of Overwatch because there's, like, no mini-map, so you get a very, like, limited scope of what's actually happening with the entire team. But we're not going to talk about esports. So, we've got Graviton built up right now. We're waiting for our team to come back. We see Hanzo has got his dragon ready. So we've got one of the combos ready to go. So we're going to be looking for an opportunity to Graviton as quickly as possible. Diva also, her mech just got broken. Fantastic news, because now she can't block our ultimate or Hanzo's ultimate. And I would have honestly just, like, thrown it in as soon as I see those three people together. Like, I would have done it sooner. Like, right there. I'd try and just throw it in at them. We throw it in, like, a second later, so it's not like the end of the world or whatever. And all this is happening. We poke out right as Reinhardt charges and we get caught by it. Feels bad. Whatever. We got them with the Graviton. Ultimates happened. Probably didn't even need to use the Dragon, honestly. But whatever. You know, you expect to do that. Dragon actually charges very quickly, so whatever. Worst D.Va ult in recorded history. Even, like, I get what she was trying to throw it onto the point and maybe get a, like, quintuple kill with it, but no way. No way. Is it like a 1% chance of that happening? So, now we're on the street phase on Hollywood. We're low charge right now, so we should be trying to build up our charge as quickly as possible. Don't bother going off here, just like stay with your team over here. You're trying to build charge right now. We bubble Reinhardt as soon as we hear Tac Visor go on. Generally better if you hear an ultimate like that. Basically, if you hear like a really threatening ultimate like Tac Visor, look for your support and see if you can bubble them, especially if it's a Mercy, because that's probably the one that's going to be getting targeted. But whatever. He ended up not doing anything with it anyway, so I don't know, like, what he was doing with it, basically. D.Va started trying to kill us, but we had our bubble, and we get away from it. Fine. It's all good. Reinhardt's going in. He's swinging his hammer. He's very happy. He's very excited about it right now. We can't do too much right now, because we're still fairly low charge. We don't have our ultimate. All we can do is be up here, like, trying to fight people, but we got Earth Shattered right there. Feels bad, man. Now we're gonna die, because we're also purple. Does Mercy res us right here? Yes, Mercy res us here, right here. So that's great. Get back up, start fighting again. Oh, ultimates are happening. Oh, their team is dying. Oh, got pinned blindly again. It happens. And right there we see the res swings it back around. Even though we didn't actually have any ultimates to use on the swing back round, you know, it just, Mercy res. Strong ultimate, believe it or not. Who knew? So we're gonna get it there right now. We're standing over here trying to stop them if they come through. We've almost got Earth Shatter built up, so that's great. Earth Shatter, it's because he's pinging Earth Shatter over there. We've almost got Graviton built up, so that's great. See somebody get hooked, just barely bubbled them as they swept past. Great, awesome. You should ping that your ultimate is almost up right now. Cause there's ultimates that, like, even Tyre can be a combo. He's used it already, though. He did the kill there Reinhardt with it, which is above average, honestly. He killed someone with it. So, try to build up some charge right there. Didn't get any charge built up. Again, predictively, not reactively. We've almost got Graviton built up. Oh, so close, so close. Reinhardt lets his shield break, so he's bad. We decide we're gonna, I didn't actually know you could do that to get up here, so that was enlightening to me earlier, because I saw you doing that. I was like, what are you doing? Oh, you can get up there! Oh, I didn't know you could do that. You learn something new every day. And we decide we're gonna jump on their back line. I wouldn't really recommend doing this, because Zarya's not a flanking hero, basically. But we get away with it. We throw our ult right on them right there. Oh, combos happened. Feels good. Oh my god. Oh, look at this. Takes us a little while to realize that somebody's contesting the payload, and we're like, oh fuck, who's doing this? And it's, Roadhog. Now, no, we don't have 3 people over here. If 3 people were on it, we might have just barely gotten it before they got back out here to contest it, but whatever. Now they're all scrambling out here to touch it. We still got 2 minutes, so it's not the end of the world, even if we get killed right here. But things are looking pretty good. Then we get Earth Shattered. We're a little scared about that, but we get up. It's fine. We win the game. Great. Awesome. I think you typed something at the end. What did you type? I thought I could charge ult faster earlier, so I jumped. Whoops. Worked out anyway. Oh, I guess you mean when you were going around the back end for the flank right there? Fair enough. So, you know, we don't want to look at that. We don't look at that. So we'll go back here. Look at our bad, ugly team instead. So, the thing that stands out to me the most in this game is just, like, the barriers, basically. Like you're saying you don't know where you should be standing in the comment earlier, but, I mean, I thought you were standing fine, basically. A couple instances where we get, like, too aggressive and we're, like, off by ourselves. We shouldn't be, but, like, I thought it was fine. We talked about that. The thing to me is just, like, the barriers, which, like, a lot of Zarya is based around building up charge off of your barriers as quickly as possible. Because when you're high charge, you're the best hero in the game. And yeah, like, basically all I see you just, like, using them predictively, basically the entire time. Unless you see somebody get hooked, then you're reacting, obviously. But try not to use them predictively. Try to use them reactively. It's harder to stop firing once you've started firing. If you haven't started firing, it's easy to just hold it for a second. And even if they do stop firing, you're still going to get a shot in or two on them. Like, the difference between, an average Zarya and a really good Zarya is the really good Zarya only bubbles people when you've already committed to a shot. This is why I get annoyed when people are like, oh, why is shooting the Zarya shields? Stop shooting the Zarya shields. You're, like, removing half of the equation, because, like, most of it is, like, the Zarya bubbling people correctly to get charged. She's actively trying to get charged, so I get very annoyed when people say that, because, like, you're taking it away from the Zarya. If Zarya is high charge, it's probably because the Zarya has been using her bubbles well, more than anything else. That's, like, the biggest thing, and, like, you got your ult slowly. That's because you don't have any charge, basically. Like, you would build it quick. Like, you can see when we have charge, it actually starts building very quickly. It's just you need to build charge to start charging your ultimate, basically. That's, like, the thing, basically. I thought your positioning was fine, and we already talked about that anyway. So, thank you very much for watching if you did. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. I'm more than happy to answer, and I hope you found the video helpful.